Part of my mission is to be the rhetorical arms dealer for the right-hand side of your brain. And today, I'm dealing in some significant weaponry. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance. Here's your host, Randall Terry.
Why voting for Donald Trump is a morally good thing. That's the name of the article that I've been reading. And when you get wisdom, when you find a nugget of truth or you hit the mother lode of truth or anything in between, you shout it from the housetops. And that's what I'm doing with this article written by Dr. Wayne Grudem, which appeared recently on townhall.com. I encourage you to go. If you've missed yesterday's program or the show before that, I encourage you to go to Town Hall, find the article, and then send the link to everyone that you know. And the reason is because there is a movement. It's still fairly small, but it's significant enough that it could tip the election one way or the other. There's a group of Christian people that are saying that it's unethical to vote for Donald Trump, or saying that their conscience won't let them, which, as I've said in other programs, shows a malformed conscience. It shows a conscience that is not formed properly. It shows a lack of proper discipleship or training in the field of ethics and making decisions, all right? As the late Howard Phillips once said, voting is the political currency of our virtue. And so Dr. Grudem has been laying out first the case of what a disaster a Hillary presidency would be for freedom, for the church, for babies, for marriage, just because of the Supreme Court. And then he's laying out the positive influence that a Donald Trump presidency would have for certain issues. We resume now where Dr. Grudem speaks of the impact of a Trump presidency regarding the freedom for Christian influence in politics. Significantly, Trump has pledged to work to repeal the 1954 Johnson Amendment to the IRS Code, which has been used for 62 years as a threat to silence pastors from speaking about political issues for fear of losing their tax-exempt status. This would be a great victory for freedom of religion and freedom of speech. By the way, this is Randall talking. I need to have a caveat here. It's actually a bigger problem than that. A preacher can get up and preach against the evils of child killing or homosexual marriage. The problem becomes when they advocate for the defeat of a candidate or the election of another candidate, or when they use their 501c3 tax-exempt status church to promote for the changing of a law. $0 can go and zero airtime, like on Focus on the Family, can go for the advocacy of a candidate or the defeat of a candidate, and only 5% of their budget can go for lobbying for a certain law, whether it's a law to protect babies or marriage or whatever. So, back to reading. In short, a Trump-appointed Supreme Court, together with dozens of lower court judges appointed by him, would probably result in significant advances in many of the policy areas important to Christians. It would also open the door to huge expansion of influence for the many Christian lobbying groups known as family policy councils in various states, especially enabling them to work for further legal protections for life, for marriage and family, and for religious liberty. He asks, how can we know that Trump won't change his mind? Quote, but Trump has changed his mind in the past, a politically minded friend said to me. Quote, how do we know that he will do what he has promised? Maybe he'll betray you and appoint a liberal Supreme Court justice. My reply is that we can never know the future conduct of any human being with 100% certainty. But in making an ethical decision like this one, we should base the decision on the most likely results. In this case, the most likely result is that Trump will do most or all of what he has said. In the history of American politics, candidates who have been elected president have occasionally changed their minds on one or another issue while in office, but no president has ever gone back on most of what he promised to do, especially on issues that are crucially important in the election. In this election, it's reasonable to think that the most likely result is that both Trump and Clinton will do what they have promised to do. That is the basis on which we should decide how to vote. And notice how Trump has changed his mind. He continues to move in a more conservative direction, as evidenced by his list of judges and his choice for vice president. Just as he succeeded in business by listening to the best experts to solve each problem, I suspect that he has been listening, and learning rather, from the best experts in conservative political thought, and has increasingly found that conservative solutions really work. We should applaud these changes. Randall Terry here. I will be right back reading more of this incredible political treatise that was printed recently at townhall.com. Don't go away. If you own a business and would like to advertise on our program, please contact us. We are currently seen on over 130 television stations from coast to coast. We air at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then all times are local. We have a lot of reach, friend, and this is an opportunity at a great price for you to get your product or your service in front of hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people. Also, if there's something that's important to you and you'd like to have a month where you just say thank you to this ministry or promote a certain ministry or a certain cause, contact us. Our rates are incredibly affordable. You'd be surprised. And you, again, can reach into hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of homes. We're currently seen possibly in over 30 million homes. So give us a call, give us an email, and we'll put a commercial up for you. Why voting for Donald Trump is a morally good choice. That's the name of the article that was recently written by Dr. Wayne Grudem. It appeared on townhall.com, and I thought, this is so awesome. My wife read it to me, and it just kept getting better and better, and I thought, I have to actually read this on the air, something I have never done before. So I continue with his words concerning Trump and his choice of Governor Mike Pence. His choice of Indiana Governor Mike Pence as his vice presidential running mate is an especially significant indication that he will govern as a conservative. Trump could have picked a moderate, but instead picked a lifelong, solid conservative who is a thoughtful, gracious policy wizard. Pence is a lawyer and a former talk radio host who served 12 years in Congress and had significant congressional leadership positions, so he will be immensely helpful in working with Congress. He's a committed evangelical Christian. He's a former board member of the Indiana Family Institute, a conservative Christian lobbying group in Indiana. However, the Supreme Court is not the only issue at stake in this election. While I disagree with Trump on a few things, especially trade policy, on most important issues, Trump will likely do much good for the nation. Taxes and jobs, for example. Trump has pledged to cut taxes significantly, while Clinton wants to raise them. Trump is advocating a 15% tax rate for corporations rather than the current 35%. Lower corporate taxes would lead to business expansion and a massive increase in available jobs and higher pay levels. For individual taxpayers, Trump favors a top rate of 25%. But for Clinton, it's 45%. Most small businesses file under this individual rate, so once again, Trump's lower taxes would result in substantial expansion of businesses and many more jobs. Finally, our economy would snap out of its 8 years of anemic growth. In my judgment, Christians should support lower tax rates that would lead to more jobs because Obama's economic policies for the last 8 years have hurt lower income and low middle class income families the most. Many can't even find jobs, and others can't find full-time jobs. Those who have jobs struggle to survive with no meaningful pay raises year after year. It's no surprise that these are the people who are supporting Trump in overwhelming numbers. Tax rates are also a good indicator of government control. Higher tax rates mean greater government control of our lives, while lower tax rates indicate greater freedom. How about minorities? Two of the deepest causes of poverty among minority groups and racial tensions in our country are failing public schools in our inner cities and lack of available jobs. Trump expressed a commitment to solve these problems at several points in his acceptance speech at the Republican convention. He pledged to reduce taxes and regulations, leading to many more jobs. And he said, quote, "Nearly 4 in 10 African American children are living in poverty, while 58% of African American youth are not employed. This administration has failed America's inner cities. It's failed them on education, it's failed on jobs. It's failed them on crime. Every action I take, I will ask myself, does this make life better for young Americans in Baltimore, Chicago, Detroit, Ferguson, who have as much of a right to live out their dreams as any other child in America? Will we rescue kids? We will rescue kids from failing schools by helping their parents send them to a safe school of their choice. By contrast, Clinton will bow to the teachers' unions and oppose school choice at every turn. And she will continue to strangle businesses with high taxes and regulations, preventing job growth. What about the military? Trump has promised to rapidly rebuild our depleted military forces. But Clinton would continue the liberal policy of eviscerating them through denying funding. This is dangerous in light of increasing threats from China, Russia, Iran, and ISIS. I've got to take a break. I'll be right back. I'm reading the political treatise of Dr. Wayne Grudem that appeared recently on Town Hall. Don't go away. Friend, this program is supported by friends like you who believe in what we are doing. We run a very tight ship. Thankfully, we are on over 130 stations across the country, having tremendous impact. We get emails every day. We get letters in the mail, not every day, but almost every day. We hear from people who love what we're doing. What people don't understand is that it's sort of expensive to produce a television show like this. It doesn't require earth-shattering funds, but it does require financial help. So I am asking you, if you enjoy this program, throw us a $10 or a $20 bill every once in a while, or even a $50 or a $100 check. You see the address there on the screen. Your gifts are not tax deductible, by the way, because we want to be able to say what we want to say regarding politics without the IRS telling us no. So if you like the program, I ask for your support. If you have friends that are considering voting for Hillary or staying home and not voting at all, who are saying, oh, my conscience won't let me vote for Trump, I'm looking at this third-party candidate, give them the link to the article written by Dr. Wayne Grudem. It's at townhall.com. Or send them a link to this show where I'm actually reading the article that he wrote. It's just brilliant, thoughtful, compelling, and it's spot on right. I continue. What about the borders? Trump has repeatedly promised that he will finally secure our borders, an urgent need to protect the nation from even more terrorists and drug smugglers. Clinton will not do this, but will continue to allow in what she thinks will be thousands of future Democratic voters. How about ISIS and terrorism? Trump has pledged to aggressively attack and utterly defeat ISIS. Clinton will continue the anemic Obama policy of periodic bombing runs and drone attacks, under which ISIS has continued to thrive. How about China and Russia? Trump will not let China and Russia and Iran push us around anymore, as Obama has done with Hillary Clinton's support when she was Secretary of State. If Trump is anything, he is tough as nails and he won't be bullied. How about Israel? Trump has promised to vigorously defend and support Israel, while Clinton will most likely continue the Obama administration's criticism, snubbing, and marginalization of Israel. What about energy? Trump has said that he will approve the Keystone Oil Pipeline and grant more oil drilling permits, leading to lower energy costs and providing thousands of jobs. Lower energy costs help everybody, but the poor most of all. Clinton, by contrast, will make fracking nearly impossible and essentially abolish the coal industry, causing energy prices to skyrocket. What about executive orders and bathrooms? Trump has promised to rescind many of the most objectionable executive orders given by President Obama, so he will likely end the compulsory moral degradation forced upon us by a liberal agenda, including orders forcing schools to allow boys in girls' bathrooms and locker rooms in defiance of the will of the vast majority of Americans. But Hillary Clinton would likely perpetuate and expand these policies. How about health care? Trump will work to repeal Obamacare, which is ruining the nation's healthcare system, and replace it with an affordable, free market system in which companies have the ability to sell insurance across state lines, thus substantially lowering insurance prices, especially in those states that currently allow only high-priced Cadillac insurance plans. But Clinton would continue to work relentlessly toward federal government control of our entire health care industry. What about the unprotected? Trump will finally begin to recognize and protect what Wall Street Journal writer Peggy Noonan calls the unprotected in America. People in lower income areas who cannot find good jobs, cannot find good schools for their children, do not feel protected from crime, and find their retirement savings are not enough because for years they have been earning no interest in the bank. Trump said in his acceptance speech, "Every day I wake up determined to deliver for the people I have met all across the nation that have been neglected, ignored, and abandoned." He's going to deliver for them. I have joined the political arena so that the powerful can no longer beat up on people that cannot defend themselves. These American citizens recognize that Trump has built a business career on listening to experts, solving problems, and getting things done. They realize that Trump didn't earn $4 billion by being stupid, and their instinct says that he might be actually the right person to solve some of the biggest problems in a nation that has for too long been headed in the wrong direction and stuck in political gridlock. They might not have college degrees, but their old-fashioned common sense tells them that America would be a much better place if we no longer had to be afraid to say Merry Christmas, or that boys are different from girls, or that Islamic terrorists are Islamic terrorists. They're sick and tired of being condescended to by the snobbish moralism of the liberal elites who dominate the power centers in our nation. That's why they cheer when Trump repeatedly violates the canons of politically correct speech. They have found him in someone who gives them hope, and they're supporting him by the thousands. I'll be right back with the end of this political treatise by Dr. Wayne Grudem. Don't go away. I want to invite you to go to our website. Almost every book that I have ever written is available as a PDF online for free. We have a ton of products, training materials, tools that are available for you for free. All we ask for is that you give us your email address. That's it, so that we can stay in touch with you, and yes, from time to time, ask you to support this work. So I'm inviting you, go to the website. Now, for those of you who say, well, I don't want a PDF, I want a real book. You can get one of my books. All you have to do is pay for shipping and handling, and then give whatever gift you want. And if you can't afford anything, we'll send you the book for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Why are we doing all this? Because we want to change the direction of the country, and we need to raise up a fresh generation of warriors to do that. That's why we have this tool. I invite you, go to the website, see for yourself. If you just joined me, I have been reading from a political treatise written by Dr. Wayne Grudem. You can find it at townhall.com. This is great stuff. He finishes, and I finish this show. He asks, does character matter? But are you saying the character doesn't matter? Someone might ask. I believe the character does matter. But I think Trump's character is far better than what is portrayed by much current political mudslinging, and far better than his opponent's character. In addition, if someone makes doubts about character the only factor to consider, that is a fallacy in ethical reasoning that I call reductionism. The mistake of reducing every argument to only one factor, when the situation requires that multiple factors be considered. In this election, an even larger factor is the future of the nation that would flow from a Clinton or Trump presidency. To my friends who tell me they won't vote for Trump because there is a chance he won't govern at all like he promises, I reply that all of American presidential history shows that the result is unlikely, and it is ethically fallacious to reasoning to base a decision on assuming a result that is unlikely to happen. Consider instead the most likely results. The most likely result of voting for Trump is that he will govern the way he promises to do, bringing much good to the nation. But the most likely result of not voting for Trump is that you will be abandoning thousands of unborn babies who will be put to death under Hillary Clinton's Supreme Court. Thousands of Christians who will be excluded from their lifelong occupations. Thousands of poor who will never again be able to find high-paying jobs in an economy crushed by government hostility towards business. Thousands of inner-city children who will never be able to get a good education. Thousands of sick and elderly who will never get adequate medical treatment when the government is the nation's only healthcare provider. Thousands of people who will be killed by an unchecked ISIS, and millions of Jews in Israel who will find themselves alone and surrounded by hostile enemies. And you will be contributing to a permanent loss of the American system of government due to a final victory of unaccountable judicial tyranny. When I look at it this way, my conscience and my considered moral judgment tell me that I must vote for Donald Trump as the candidate who is most likely to do the most good for the United States of America. The end of the article. Good job, Dr. Wayne Grudem, and thank you, Town Hall, for publishing this excellent piece. Again, people, go to their website, find the link, send it to your friends, pastors, anybody who's going, I'm not sure if my conscience will let me vote for Donald Trump. This will wake them up. And if their conscience is still cloudy after reading this, there's probably no hope for them. Well, maybe that's not true. There's always hope. Pray for them. Send this out. And again, do what you can to shake and wake people who are in a political stupor regarding the critical nature of the outcome of this election, because a Clinton presidency will be a disaster from which we will probably never recover. And a Trump presidency could help turn the ship of state around. Thank you, Dr. Wayne Grudem. God bless you.